One of the things this president will never understand is that listening to community is not a weakness. It is a strength. A real leader would see nationwide protests, the grief in so many communities of color, particularly our Black communities, and the call to be an anti-racist society as an opportunity for America, an opportunity to build a better nation. I also want to be clear. As I stated previously, it is unconstitutional and illegal to send military to Seattle. If you don't believe me, you can take the word of a line of highly decorated generals who have said so and have rebuked him. I have spoken with Governor Inslee, and together we will assure the people this will not be happening. Many people actually are afraid that it would happen because the President of the United States said it. We would like to be able to trust what the President of the United States says, but I want people to know there is no imminent threat of an invasion in Seattle. But just as we did at the beginning of this pandemic, and as we have done many times before, we will not wait for a change in Washington for Seattle to act. I know we have a lot of work to do. Trust has been broken and it must be rebuilt. People's voices have been drowned out during this time. And for several hundred years, we have allowed a system to build and promote racism to continue to benefit us. That will take years to dismantle, but we must start immediately. And I believe the rest of Seattle is ready to get to work.